Welcome, folks, to another exciting episode of Politicians Chasing Clout by Fighting Wokeness. Today we're zooming in on Florida, where Governor Ron DeSantis has been busy trying to shake up the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with a bizarre high-stakes game of let's piss off the engine of our economy in the name of stopping kids from chopping their dicks off. It has us all wondering, what is Ron DeSantis' end goal? In short, Florida introduced a Don't Say Gay bill for classrooms. Disney then expressed displeasure with the bill, and now DeSantis and Disney are sparring like Gaston versus the Beast. But it's far less entertaining and makes about as much sense as a talking candle having sex with a feather duster. Let's dive in. In case you're new to this story, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently made a power move that rivals Rafiki hitting a grown-up Simba over the head with a stick by introducing the Don't Say Gay bill. The problem with the bill is that it's very ambiguous and uses very unspecific language. The bill, aimed at preventing any classroom instruction on gender identity and sexual orientation, has stirred up quite a controversy in the process. For kids between kindergarten and grade 3, discussion on the matter is simply prohibited, while for older kids, any instruction on these topics has to be age appropriate or developmentally appropriate, which quite frankly is wildly open to interpretation. The Don't Say Gay bill has created quite the stir, with critics pointing out that the language could open up districts and educators to lawsuits from parents who think any LGBTQ-related discussion is inappropriate. President Biden has called the bill hateful, and Disney employees organized walkouts in protest. Interestingly, public opinion on the bill is split, with about half of the voters surveyed supporting it. You know what else is murky? The relationship between DeSantis and Disney. The governor used to love Disney so much that he even tied the knot at Disney World in 2009. In fact, Disney has been quite the generous donor to DeSantis, contributing $100,000 to its political committee and even a $6,800 food and beverage in-kind contribution for a catered event. The recent history between Disney and DeSantis tracks back to 2021, when DeSantis signed a clunky bill designed to punish social media companies for allegedly mistreating conservatives. It contained a special carve-out for Disney, one DeSantis' own staff helped craft. Prior to all the recent drama, DeSantis clearly felt like Disney and him were bros.
We're best friends.
Let's get into Disney's rich history with the state of Florida that gives them special privileges. Established in 1967, a set of special laws referred to as the Reedy Creek Improvement District has allowed Disney to run its theme parks and resorts in the Sunshine State with little red tape. Reedy Creek predates the Florida Constitution. The district has about 50 permanent residents, its own board of supervisors, and even a fire department. This exclusive district encompasses 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, a sports complex, hotels, stores, and restaurants. Thanks to Reedy Creek, Disney can construct new buildings and expand its parks without having to adhere to state or county regulations related to construction, wastewater management, and drainage. Reedy Creek is like a fairy godmother that can grant building permits.
Permit applications.
Reedy Creek exempts Disney from many state and local environmental rules, building codes, and taxes. With its own board of supervisors, it's like a mini kingdom within the state of Florida. Until recently, Disney handpicked the board. But now the selection of that board has become the political football in the DeSantis versus Disney cage match. So you're probably wondering, why does Disney deserve this special status? Well, Disney's presence in Florida is nothing short of magical. With close to 60 million visitors in 2019 and over $1 billion in state and local taxes collected in 2022, tourism to the area contributes $5.8 billion in local and state tax revenue yearly when operating at full capacity. It's clear that Disney is a significant player in Florida's economy. In fact, Oxford Economics suggests that Disney's impact on the state amounts to a staggering $75 billion per year. And let's not forget the jobs. Disney employs nearly 80,000 people in Florida, with an additional 13,000 jobs planned over the next year. But here comes Captain Ron. With a wave of his gubernatorial wand, DeSantis extended the scope of a special legislative session to consider stripping Disney of its board in Reedy Creek. He's rallied state lawmakers to his cause, and the GOP-led House and Senate have both passed a bill that would dissolve Disney's special tax district, with DeSantis gaining the power to appoint Disney's governing board of supervisors.
It's a hostile takeover.
DeSantis has labeled Disney a woke corporation out of touch with Florida parents. But Disney CEO Robert Iger sees it differently, calling the state of Florida's actions anti-business and anti-Florida. According to Iger, it seems the governor is punishing Disney for exercising their First Amendment constitutional right to freedom of speech. Now, Disney isn't exactly cowering in fear. In February 2023, right before DeSantis' new board was set to take over, the company secured zoning, infrastructure, and air rights approvals for a potential Disney World expansion over the next 30 years. As a result, the new Reedy Creek board, who were all appointed by DeSantis, is accusing Disney of circumventing their authority and have since voided those contracts Disney set up, arguing that the prior board failed to abide by certain procedures required by law, rendering the development agreement illegal.
About getting the company's approval.
I'm surprised that they didn't have this development agreement on their website, on the district website. I'm surprised that they didn't tell us about it as soon as we were appointed, that we had to find out about it late at night on a Friday night.
I cannot tell you the level of my disappointment in Disney. I thought so much better of them. This essentially makes Disney the government.
And then DeSantis, in a fit of rage, has requested Florida's Chief Inspector General launch an investigation into the former Reedy Creek board's actions in striking agreements with Disney. Of course, it doesn't end there. When Disney finally had enough of the political roller coaster ride, they decided to sue Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the government board overseeing Disney World. This legal skirmish started when DeSantis appointed board members and nullified 2 agreements that granted Disney substantial control over expansion at the resort complex. They accused Disney of self-dealing, alleging multiple violations of Florida law. Disney in return fired back, labeling the board's actions as patently retaliatory, patently anti-business, and patently unconstitutional. In their lawsuit that was filed in court just minutes after the new board nullified the agreements, Disney is asking the court to declare the board's actions unlawful and unenforceable for a variety of reasons, including how the board trampled on their First Amendment rights by retaliating against them. So let's wrap it up. DeSantis' actions to target Disney, one of Florida's largest economic drivers, over a First Amendment right can be seen as a textbook example of political retribution bordering on fascism. Don't believe me? The moron was dumb enough to brag about the retribution in a Wall Street Journal op-ed, something that will surely haunt him in the Disney lawsuit. It would have been like if O.J. Simpson wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal prior to his trial saying, "I killed Nicole Brown and her waiter boyfriend for making me a cuckold." That being said, it's hard to imagine Disney ever just up and leaving over one angry governor. But hey, North Carolina has already welcomed Disney if they ever want to consider leaving the Sunshine State. While discussions of gender and sex in classrooms may not be necessary for all children, these uncomfortable conversations are just becoming unavoidable. Mr. Beast is the world's most popular YouTuber. His best friend and co-star Chris Tyson recently announced he's going through hormone replacement therapy and transitioning to be a woman. I'm sure that almost every kid above 5 in America has at one point watched Mr. Beast. Now, I don't know how these conversations should go. I'm a straight guy who understands the LGBT community as much as I understand what's happening on Vanderpump Rules this week.
I don't give a about your girl!
I don't pretend to understand any of this stuff. But what are teachers supposed to do? I guess in the state of Florida, they're to pretend that they don't know any of this stuff is happening out of fear of legal recourse. Now, what if a kid's parent happens to be someone just like Chris Tyson? Will that kid be made to feel like their parent doesn't exist and that their dad or mom or whatever they call them shouldn't be acknowledged? As much as we want to roll our eyes and smirk because we don't understand any of this, there are real kids facing these real challenges. It's essential to recognize that suppressing such conversations can be detrimental to fostering a diverse and inclusive learning environment, which from my view, inclusivity should be a part of the mandate of any public school system. Now look, we all fear our kids being in front of a whack job teacher who gives them wrong ideas that are totally inappropriate, something most gym teachers have covered for decades. I believe it's ultimately up to the parents and guardians to provide guidance and context. I once had a science teacher tell me there was no gravity on the moon. And I think that we all ran into that one hippie teacher that told us New York City would be underwater within 20 years. It's the parents' job to roll their eyes at their kids when their kids repeat these things and say, "Son, your teacher is a moron." You then hope that you've raised your kids well enough that they'll be able to be respectful when they show up the next day and see this idiotic teacher, knowing that this idiotic teacher told them idiotic things. Now look, is DeSantis' pursuit of Disney a strategic move to gain support for the next election, or will it cause more harm than good? You ask me, it won't matter. Love him or hate him, Trump is going to throw DeSantis around like a rag doll so badly we won't even remember who Captain Ron is in 12 months. Trumpy is already warming up in the bullpen with new nicknames like Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron Dishonest, Tiny D, and my personal favorite, Meatball Ron. So until the Donald comes along, let's just hope that Meatball Ron doesn't screw up the happiest place on earth. No, I'm not talking about Disney. I'm talking about my hotspot, mermaids in St. Pete Beach. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you could do me a big favor, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I love you all.